Welcome to our program, Coach to Coach. Today's guest is Lee Ann Dangelo. Lee Ann is a transformational coach working with individuals who are successful but don't feel it's enough. They've lost their identity through their various roles and don't recognize themselves. They feel like there's more for them in life, but they don't know how to get there. Thanks for joining us today, Lee Ann. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Coach to Coach.
Thank you, Greg. It's been wonderful talking with you already.
Yeah, yeah, well, more to come. So I'd love to start these by asking what first sparked your interest in coaching?
Oh, Greg. I have to tell you, I actually wasn't interested in coaching at all. It
Mm,
was not something that had come into my realm of ideas that I wanted to do. My first career was in healthcare. I worked in the healthcare field in operations, finance, management, revenue cycle for 32 years. And I guess looking back, I can see that there was a lot of coaching that was going on. At one point, I was managing a staff of 70 people. Um, and having that many people and that many personalities, trying to get to, you know, human relations is probably what we called it back then,
mm,
was really a large part of my job. Sometime in 2008, um, I was invited by a friend to hear Dr. Bill Pettit speak in Hartford, Connecticut on The Three Principles by Sydney Banks.
mm,
And the day was absolutely fabulous. I don't remember exactly what was said. I remember leaving the day with a really good feeling and thinking, oh, yeah, the idea of thought, mind, and consciousness and how that plays out in our lives and the stories we tell ourselves and that we don't have to take our thoughts seriously. I remember thinking, oh, that's really nice. Doesn't really apply to me. I'm good. You know, life is
mm,
good. And then later in life, you know, it's funny how things come back full circle. Um, my husband passed in 2017, and he had had several chronic conditions. And although he was really sick, we did not expect him to pass away. And when he did pass away, my daughters were 12 and 15. And so, as you can imagine, it was a really tough time. The loss, um, raising two almost teenagers, taking care of a house, having a job, and just grieving
mm,
and just trying to live my life and keep it all together. I really struggled with the relationship at the time with my oldest daughter, who, as I said, was about 15. And for 2 years, it was really stressful at my house. There's a lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, a lot of what I saw as disrespectful behavior, a lot of frustration. And I just couldn't see it, Greg. I couldn't see why she was being so uncooperative and so mean and so teenagery. And it seems really embarrassing almost and kind of funny now to think about it. Here's a young woman, young girl, who just lost her dad, who's feeling the pressures and social pressures of school, who's being asked to get her driver's license because I really needed another driver in the house, um, wanting to work, talking about college. I mean, all the things that come
mm.
with being a teenager. And I just was so frustrated. And I just couldn't understand why she was so uncooperative. And it was so upsetting because that's not how I wanted my family to be.
Mm.
And one night, I actually prayed. I prayed to God, please let me be one of these people who can simply accept that I will never have a great relationship with my oldest daughter.
Mm.
Please help me accept that. Because at the time, having a loving, caring relationship with her was so out of the realm of possibilities. I just couldn't, it just wasn't going to happen. And I wanted to stop my own suffering.
Mm.
The very next day, my dear friend Pat Pettit, who is the brother of Dr. Bill Pettit, called me and said, "Hey, there's this three principles program called the Rewilding Group. It's a free program. Um, we meet once or twice a month, share the principles, how it impacts our lives. Why don't you join us?"
Mm.
And I thought, well, why not? It can't hurt. I could certainly use a refresher. My life is really stressful right now. Absolutely. And it literally was like God answered my prayer.
Mm.
I started the rewilding program and then ultimately was invited to become a rewilding guide, which was a 6-month intensive program to dive even deeper into the principles, to learn more about deep listening, to learn about how we create our own suffering, to learn about the fact that we don't need to listen to the stories we tell ourselves.
Mm.
And during that program, I was coached by a wonderful woman by the name of Linda Hamilton, who is out of Canada. And I was sharing with her a particularly very stressful interaction I had had with my daughter. That was just so painful. Yelling. I ended up leaving the house. And I shared with her how it was just inconceivable to me that someone who I gave birth to, someone I housed, someone I fed,
Mm.
could say these things to me. And I was no saint either. I said some pretty irrepressible things. And after I was done sharing with Linda, she said to me, "Lee Ann, why are you taking it so personally?" And I was shocked. I was like, "What do you mean, Linda? What do you mean taking it personally? I'm her mother.
Mm.
I've provided all these things. She has a great life here. And she's being a little, you know what?" And she assured me that it wasn't personal.
Mm.
And I just started to argue with Linda. I'm like, I can't even believe it. I said, "Linda, thank God this is on Zoom because I would have slapped you across the face.
Mm.
Like, I can't even believe you're suggesting that this isn't personal." So after I had some time to sit and reflect and digest it, I was like, oh my God, she's right. Her actions towards me have nothing to do with me, almost nothing to do with me.
Mm.
I was able to take a look at the way I was showing up, the way I was coming into a room, the energy I was bringing to our relationship, the grief and anger I was bringing to it. And I was able to see how she was a teenager who just lost her dad, albeit 2 years later,
Mm.
who was trying to find her way and truly doing the best she could with what she had. Her whole stable world had just been rocked. And I was just about like, we just got to get stuff done, right? Got to apply to college. You got to get that part-time job. You got to get the driver's license. You got to keep your grades up. Like, I was just about the operations of it all.
Mm.
And over time, through looking at how I was being and how I was showing up and how I shifted my own energy and looked at the thoughts that I was having and how I created her
Mm.
as an angry person, an angry daughter, I was able to see that it wasn't true. And just that shift shifted our relationship, shifted our essence of being together. Now, I'm not saying everything went perfectly after that. It's not like we never had another argument, but little by little, it shifted
Mm.
to the point where she felt it and I felt it. And I can say 9 years later, we probably have the best relationship I never dreamed of, never could have dreamed of back then.
Mm.
And as I started to share the principles and share my story, I was running some group parenting programs, um, and in sharing the principles and talking with parents about how they relate to their teens and tweens. Um, I started to see shifts in other people's lives, And again, not just with their children, with their significant others, their spouses, their colleagues at work. And someone said, well, what is that? What are you doing in those webinars? You're like a webinar leader. And I said, yeah, I guess I'm just sharing the principles. And they're like, well, that's coaching.
Mm.
I'm like, oh, okay. Coaching as defined by who, right? There's so many definitions of coaching.
Yeah.
And that's the beautiful part of coaching, right? That we all coaches bring their own unique style and their unique influences and the way they've learned about bringing out the best in people, bringing out the best in everyone's being so that you can do the best you can with what you've got at that time. And when we know better, we do better.
Mm.
And then it just kind of transformed from there. Someone recommended the coach's operating system with Townsend Wardlaw. And from there, I was reintroduced to Angus Jane. I've attended the Angus Jane Coaching Career School. I'll be attending again this fall. And again, always with the focus on being
Mm.
and how that alone, if we start from the inside, if we start with us, we can shift our way of being in the world. And that has been so extremely powerful for myself, for my family, for my clients, and possibly for people I don't even know. You know, there's always that ripple effect that you may not always be aware of.
Mm. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your story. It's my heart goes out to you and your children and your family on your loss. And
Thank you.
the thing that really jumped out at me was you said God answered your prayer, and I was like, not exactly, because He didn't give you what you wanted, which was just to accept you could never have a relationship with your daughter. He did you one better, or maybe 100 times better. I don't know, or infinitely better, and
Infinitely, infinitely
yeah,
better.
which is I think kind of what God does on the regular. So
Yeah. God, and by staying open, like in coaching, in so many ways I've been coached or others that I've coached, seeing things that you didn't see before,
mm,
right? What was possible,
yeah,
things that were outside of my realm of possibility for my life and my relationships.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So when
Well,
you can help to see that in yourself and see that in others,
yeah. I love asking people that question, like, are you open to the possibility that this could be different, or that you can have what you want, or just the idea, that little crack, that being open to the possibility, it lets that little sliver of light in, and that's the beginning. It opens something up. I do want to ask a
yeah.
question about when you said not taking it personally. Um, I have a version of what that means for me, but maybe you can just explain in other words so
Oh,
that people can relate to what that actually means for you, not taking it personally.
sure, absolutely. Yeah, because it is it can be difficult to feel it, right?
Mm,
Um, in that moment, in my experience, I just felt like everything was so very personal, that she was being mean to me on purpose, that she was, purposely waking up to ruin my day,
mm,
um, being disrespectful, being ungrateful. And when I was able to settle in that session with Linda, I was absolutely able to see that it truly had nothing to do with me,
mm,
that she was a young person who had lost her dad, who was under a lot of pressure at school, pressure to get her driver's license, pressure, like she was just doing the best she could with what she had.
mm,
There's no book on how to grieve, how you lost your dad, or if there is, she hadn't read it. I
yeah,
certainly haven't read it. And I didn't have a book at the time for how to go through this more gracefully. I
mm,
was just trying to go through.
mm,
So when I was able to sit back and take a look at how I was showing up every day, which probably wasn't in the most positive way,
mm,
because I was just trying to
yeah,
I had a statement that I said to many of my family and friends. I said, unless it has to do with paying my mortgage, keeping my job, or raising my kids, don't even ask me.
Mm.
Don't talk to me about it. I can barely manage these three things
Yeah.
those first 2 years.
Mm.
Um, and the raising the kids part, that's where I really was like, okay, how do I want them to perceive me right now? How do I want them to experience? How do I want her to experience me? How can I show up with love for her, even when I may not be feeling it in
Mm.
the beginning? So it really takes it takes looking inside first,
Mm.
and then seeing the highest good in the other person. They may not always show it, they may not always act it, but I assure you it's there.
Mm.
And when we can see the other person, particularly someone who's struggling, whether it's a toddler having a tantrum on the floor in a grocery store, or an adult cutting you off on the highway going 90 miles an hour,
Yeah.
or the cashier at Starbucks who is just could care less whether or not they got your name or your order right. I do believe that the person's doing the best they can
Yeah.
with what they have in that moment. And if you can see that with some compassion,
Mm.
like, wow, they must be really having a hard day.
Yeah.
You see it differently, you feel it differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And us too. When we're caught up in our own
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like you, like in your story, you were also doing the best you could at where you were at your level of understanding in those circumstances.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now that she's, 9 years older, I
Yeah.
can, we've had those conversations. I'm like, look, I know I was shitty.
Yeah.
There's no nice way to say that. I
Yeah.
was shitty.
Yeah.
And I was doing the best I could with what I had at that moment.
Yeah.
And then when we know better,
Yeah.
we do better.
Absolutely.
Not 100% of the time. Unfortunately, we have the curse of being human,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
curse and the blessing.
Yeah.
We're human. We may not get it right 100% of the time,
Yeah.
but I get it. I feel better about it more often than not now,
Yeah. Yeah.
for sure.
Well, I think that's one of the most useful things I've learned in the principles is what Sid Banks would call psychological innocence.
Yes.
And I've in my own uh, role as a parent, you know, looking back, or as a husband, or as a son, it's like, oh yeah, like it just when you look at the world of like the history of all of your experiences through this lens of psychological innocence, everything, I thought this is what was happening. Now I put this lens of psych, and I'm like, oh my God, that's not what was happening at all. That person was just they were caught up in something. They were doing the
Yeah.
best they could, and it had nothing to do with me, which I think is getting back to this
Yeah.
phrase of not taking it personally,
Yeah.
which can be so helpful.
And knowing it shifts, Greg,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Right. No one stays in anger or joy
Yeah,
100% of the time.
yeah, yeah.
Emotions move
The
through us
fluidity of
if we
it.
let them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if we don't hang on to them for dear life.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, I'd really like to get to know more about your practice and who you're working with, how you're working with people. I mean, the intro kind of told a little bit of the story, but if you can expand on that, that would be great.
Sure. Absolutely, Greg. Thank you. I've been working with what I call high capacity women, and I'm open to working with men as well, who
Mm.
are just juggling a lot, the various roles. Um, we've talked about some of them earlier. Raising children, caring for aging parents, work, career, a home, um, and they're in transition too sometimes between jobs, maybe having gotten laid off, um, maybe a change in marital status for whatever reason. and they know that there's more for them, but they just can't quite put a name on it. They can't put their finger on it. Um, I talk with a lot of women who feel like they've lost their agency. And by that, I mean, they've been so defined and so focused on their roles. Again, raising children, caring for a home, work, whatever it is, that maybe later in life, after 50, you look up and you say, is this it? Is this it? I still want to do this, this, and this. Or maybe those things, maybe those old dreams aren't important to me anymore. Um, so I work with individuals who feel successful, who feel a level of maybe discontent. They know there's something more, but they can't quite put their fingers on it. And might be a little afraid of living into their own greatness or daring to do something bold. Um, I have a few friends right now, for example, who are looking to move abroad, and I mean, obviously the world's gotten smaller
Mm.
with all of this technology we have. But, back, 20 years ago, know anybody who was moving abroad. Like, you're going to live there, like, permanently, like, maybe for a year. I don't know. I'm going to try it out. So someone who might want to explore
Mm.
some bold moves and bold changes in their lives. Um, and they're going through that transition, or they just don't even know. They just know something feels off
Mm.
and they want more out of their life, out of their relationship, out of their career, out of their financial situation. And they just don't know how to get there.
Mm.
I'm also stepping back into working with corporations. I left the corporate world back in 2023. I was in healthcare for 32 years, and it was wonderful and stressful. It was the busiest I've ever been during the pandemic. And I'm hoping to get back into that because our healthcare workers and all the people who support our healthcare workers here, particularly in the US, um, they need support. They need support.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm imagining it's kind of like, the old joke that the carpenter, his own house is the most broken down wreck because he's always out fixing other people's houses. And I'd imagine in healthcare, all the people that are making sure everyone else is healthy, to use the metaphor of the oxygen, they haven't put their own oxygen mask on first. They're out there helping other people, but it's depleting them. And
Exactly.
yeah, so I love that you're seeing the opportunity there to help those
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. And sharing, the insight out understanding of the three principles alone could help shift a work team.
Yeah.
In When I was in healthcare, I worked with every type of practice: private, primary care, surgery, orthopedics, mental health. And one of the things that I know for sure is that when your team, all the admin and even the providers, when they all focus on the same goal and can look for that highest good in each other, that's when work doesn't feel so much like work.
Yeah.
And it's not always easy, but it's always worth it.
Mm.
It's always worth it to guide teams through what's next for us and get everyone working towards a common goal.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's one thing I miss about my corporate career that I don't have now. Although I've called my business is called Team Unleash Your Potential, and right now it's a team of one, but it's like it's aspirational that one day it'll be a team because the just the dynamics of a team. It's 1 + 1 = 3, or one
Yes.
plus one plus one equals 10. Like it's the synergy and the um, just what you're able to accomplish working together that you otherwise couldn't accomplish. And it's having each other's backs, supporting each other. Um, yeah. It,
Yeah.
and it's funny because as we're talking about like corporate world and teams, what you shared earlier about not taking it so personally. It's like, oh yeah, that applies here too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I was working with an individual who actually kind of the reverse had happened. He was applying uh, the inside out, the three principles concepts at work,
Mm,
to keep his team together, and hadn't applied it to his relationship with his son.
mm,
They were kind of going at it. And when we talked about it, um, he actually broke down into tears.
mm.
He said, wow, I never thought of applying it over there. This was a concept for over here.
So
So,
powerful. Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm sure in hindsight, to him, it's like it's so obvious now. It's like, oh yeah, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
But
Oh, sliced bread.
yeah, we get these blinders on. It's like, oh yeah, over here, but not here. Yeah. And it
Yeah.
makes me wonder, you know, how many other examples in our lives are there like that?
Right.
Um,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And if you've ever worked on a team that really hums,
Mm,
the last consulting contract I had was with a mental health group, and I can't remember. I think there was about 38 employees. It was a group home living situation, and the team was just really burnt out. They were just really disconnected. They had had um, a manager who was maybe not as effective as they could have been. And literally the first 3 months I was there wasn't just about keeping the bottom line, you know, in good condition, but really just helping them decompress in a way from the transitions that they had been through and slowing down. And once we were able to get to a point where we recognized that everyone was on the same team and have that communication, wow, the organization just took
mm,
off after that. Increased their revenue, increased their fees, increased their employee retention. Um, yeah, it was really wonderful to be a part of that.
yeah. I mean, my next question is always, can you give us examples? And you just did. So I don't know if we need to have another example. If one comes to mind, I'm happy to share it with the audience, or we can move
Sure.
on. But yeah, another example would be great.
Yeah, I have another example. I was working with a woman who was in her early 60s. She had recently retired from a long career in what I'll call the civil service industry.
Mm,
And she had devoted her life to caring for others in her work, in her personal life, um, taking care of siblings, elderly parents. And she was now getting married
mm,
and was afraid that she was going to lose herself in service to this other person. And there were so many dreams goals she had, that she thought, oh well, I'm 62. Like, I'm like, so according to statistics, you have at least another 25 years on this planet,
yeah.
which is a lifetime. So what? And we talked about some examples of her both being in relationship and having her own agency, and
Mm,
what that looked like on a practical level, day to day, as well as on a long term. And finally it got to the point where I asked her, like, what are you afraid of? Like, going after these dreams. And there was a really long silence. And she said, I'm afraid that I might be successful.
mm,
And I was like, oh. Sometimes people are afraid of their own greatness and they don't even know it. So breaking through that, guiding people back into their own greatness, realizing their dreams, or if their dreams have changed, knowing that that's okay, you know,
mm.
helping people not, I call it shoulding on yourself.
Yeah.
I should do this, and I'm 62, so I should be this, and getting married, so I should be this way. Who said that? Who told you that story?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, my mom did this, my dad did this. Okay, that was for them. We're talking about you.
Yeah.
So guiding her to her greatness, that was powerful.
I got a really strong hit off the this 25-year thing that you said. What flashed in my head was like if you think about anyone's life from 0 to 25, like think about the enormous change and transformation that you go from a baby to a 25-year-old through growing, learning, relationships, school. It's like, yeah, why can't you do just as much from 62 to 87? Like it's like there's 25 years is a very long time.
Yes, it
and you,
is.
and you can get up to a lot of stuff if you're willing to experiment and go for it.
Yeah.
Step into your greatness, as you said.
And I love that the science is starting to finally catch up, Greg. There used to be a time when they thought, past a certain age, like you weren't going to have any more brain cells.
Yeah.
Your neural pathways were set. And that's not true.
Yeah.
They finally have discovered and shared that that's not true.
Yeah.
We can change neural pathways with certain therapies.
Yeah.
We can, in our older age, grow muscle.
Yeah.
They used to think, oh, well, once you turn 55, that's it. That's all you got.
Yeah.
Hang on to it, but you can't grow anymore. And it's not true.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, this isn't scientific, but what it strikes me is kind of like, um, you'll keep on living if you keep on living.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Absolutely.
there's
Keep
so
on
many
moving.
so many statistics about people retiring and doing nothing, and 2, 3 years later they're gone.
Yeah.
And then on the reverse of that is people who they may retire from their job, but they stay active. They keep doing things. They go into. I've met in this coaching profession. I met people that are in their 70s that are just starting their coaching practice, and I'm just like, oh my god, that's so inspiring. So yeah, it's and we're living longer, and it excites me to think that the opportunity to contribute and impact people and help people. I'm 53, for another 30 years. When I turned 50, I was, jokingly telling my son, it's all downhill from here. And he's like, don't worry, Dad, you're only halfway there. And I thought yeah, 100, that would be
Perspective.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Greg, I'm also a part-time fitness instructor
Mm,
at my local YMCA, and I have individuals in my class ranging from 25 to 85 in
wow.
some of my classes. They're fitness blast classes.
Yeah.
And obviously, the 25-year-old has the 30 or 40-pound weights,
Mm,
and my 70 and 82-year-olds have 2, maybe 3-pound weights.
mm,
And I always share with them, you don't have to keep doing what I'm doing,
yeah.
but you do have to keep moving. If you're
Yeah.
going to stay in my class, you've got to keep moving.
Yeah.
And it's so true because people who continue to move their bodies just, I feel like they live better.
Yeah.
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 Because
Absolutely.
it's all connected.
Yeah.
Mental, physical, dare I say financial.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your life success is all connected.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I'll throw one more in there, spiritual.
Spiritual, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
However you define
However
that.
you define it. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been doing this program on using Star Wars, so I've created a whole bunch of songs and things, but it's like, I don't know, the level of spirituality I've found in Star Wars is kind of blowing my mind. But it's just a metaphor, the Force and all these kinds of things. But it's for me, it just touches that, whatever you want to call it, that's deeper inside of us, that's at the core of who we are. And when we're in touch with that, everything's just easier.
Yeah. The universe, some people call it God, some people
Yeah.
call it energy.
Yeah.
Um,
The
uh,
wisdom and intelligence of life, all kinds.
intelligent. Yep.
Yeah.
You got
Call it
it.
what you want. Yeah. Yeah. This has been a wonderful conversation. I hate to bring it to a close, but if there's one thing that you'd want people to take away from this conversation, what would that one thing be?
One thing would be um, a quote from, it comes from a quote from Sydney Banks. If the only thing people learned was to not be afraid of their experience, that alone would change the world.
Mm,
Being afraid and doing it anyway, um, watching your thoughts, watching how you talk to yourself. I often, when I speak with people and they share with me the things they're telling themselves, the question I will ask is, who's your best friend?
mm,
And they'll say, Susie. Would you say that to Susie? Oh my God, of course not.
mm,
Then why are you saying it to yourself? So don't be afraid and mind your thoughts.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much in that Sid Banks quote, so much wisdom,
Yeah,
so much
that is
freedom.
my favorite.
Yeah. If people want to get in touch with you and learn more about what you're doing, or uh, you know, join one of your programs or your fitness classes, I guess I don't know, whatever it is, where's the
Yeah,
best place for them to find you?
sure. My email is coach@leandangelo.com. They can find me on Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp.
Nice.
Yeah,
Well, this has been an absolute pleasure meeting you and talking with you today. Thanks so much for joining me.
same here, Greg. Thank you.
Awesome. See you again soon.
Take care.